Hello guys, it's me, Sunset, sitting in the chair ready to present to y'all a transmission. How's everyone doing, first and foremost? How are y'all? I love y'all so much. Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for watching. Like, y'all don't know how much y'all mean to me. I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. And if you're watching this, that means we resonate, and that says a lot about you. To resonate with me says a lot about you. I fuck with you. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm putting some tea tree oil on my skin because these mosquitoes out here are disrespectful. It's just like, I'm a pacifist. This is a space of unity and connectivity and unconditional love. But you see these mosquitoes, these niggas are the secret government in insect form. So that means they getting murdered on sight. That's what that means. I have no tolerance. I have no tolerance. You're not finna just like suck my blood, just take my life force and then leave me itching and scratching. Like, what kind of shit is that? Like, nah, you're gonna get the death penalty, and that's just gonna be the ruling of the court, you know what I mean? Like, that's just gonna be your verdict. Your verdict is death, because you're disrespectful. I'm here to discuss some things, because like, I've noticed recently, I've been talking to people. I talk to a lot of people, and I'm usually like asking people questions about like what they're going through and just their experiences in life. And some people talk to me about anxiety. Some people talk to me about like their fear of the perception of other people and how those people perceive them and what they've been stressing about, and like how sometimes they can tend to overthink about things. I've always felt hesitant when some of those people will return the question like, well, Trey, how do you deal with anxiety? Or how do you handle being nervous? Or, you know, what do you do when you're stressing about something? I don't do those things. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna keep it real. And I really have always kind of been hesitant, taking pride in it, because it can sound like I'm above it all, but I don't get nervous. I don't get nervous. No one makes me nervous. I don't struggle with the fear of the perception of other people. I don't stress about anything. I know some people think everybody stresses about, I don't stress. My mind won't let me stress. Like my psychology, how about that? Like my psychology won't let me stress. And I don't rarely ever, I don't ever really get anxiety. I can't even tell you the last time I've had anxiety. I'm sure I've experienced it at some point in my life, but I don't experience it enough to claim in this moment, hey, yeah, I get anxiety sometimes, because I don't even know when that's last happened. I really don't. I can't even recall. Real quick side note, you can add anger and irritation to that list as well. Where the fuck did those emotions go? Where did those feelings go for me? Genuinely asking. I don't fucking know. I don't even remember doing anything. I know I didn't do anything consciously to rid them of my consciousness, but I don't feel them ever. You can ask people who are in my life, have they ever seen me like in an irritable mood or like get really angry? I don't know. Of course I would like to think, oh yeah, it's just, those are just such low frequencies that you just don't exist in them anymore. But I didn't consciously do anything to get rid of them. So I can't even take ownership of that. Like, I can't even, I don't know where those feelings went. Like, I see people in irritable moods all the time. I see people get angry and frustrated all the time. I don't know where I received the patience to not give a fuck enough to never be angry or like short-tempered, or like, you know what I mean? You see sometimes people are like short-tempered and they just ain't got the patience, and just everything for like a couple hours just gets on their fucking nerves. Don't say the wrong thing to them. They just, where did it go for me? Like, I grew up in the hood. I used to fight niggas all the time. Or you say the wrong thing to me, you look at me the wrong way. We used to be on site. What happened? Where did it go? I don't want to feel those things. I will say that. Let me say that. I don't want to feel those things. I'm gonna let y'all have that shit. I'm gonna let y'all have it. But I at least want to take credit for it if I really did the work to get rid of it. But maybe I did. Maybe when you do something, when you grow aware of certain things, it also banishes other things that you might not be aware of that fell under that umbrella of awareness. Sometimes that happens. You could open your heart up to a point where you just stop feeling certain vibrations. I don't know. I'm assuming. But back to the video. I know how that sounds. It sounds very like, oh, so you just think you're above it all. All right. You think you're like, you've mastered life or something. No, I haven't. But there's also a voice in my head that is saying that when I assess, like, damn, I don't really experience those things. There's a voice in my head that's like, oh, so you think you're above it all. I don't know if it's me thinking that it's other people who may think that, or like if it's really just my own voice. I don't know. But I do know it's true. And I know what I do struggle with, though, at the same time. I might not struggle with those things, even though I know those are like very common tropes and obstacles that people experience, like the fear of perception of others, stress, anxiety, nervousness, like I know, etc. Like I know those things are something that most people, the common person, would have to like go through and learn how to detach from. But I'll tell you what's mine. Because I have my struggles. And maybe in this video I could possibly try to find how I got over those specific things, or why I don't deal with those specific things that I just mentioned, all of those little characteristics and qualities and fears. Maybe, because I'm not too sure on how I got there, but if I go digging, I'll probably be able to present it in this video. Like I was saying, I will say what I do struggle with in this video more so, and not just like what I'm sensitive to. I guess it's like a correlation of what I'm sensitive to, but it's like these are my battles within the world. Okay, so number one, my biggest battle is my relationship with society and like the system of society, not like people and social things, but the world, the system, the construct, the matrix. I spent so much time in my initial awakening being the observer, looking at the world from the outside in rather than participating, like just watching it and wanting no parts of it. Just not wanting to be touched by this shit, not wanting to be like everyone else, not wanting to become a slave in the machine. I've just always rather been the person to philosophize, philosoph. Trinity, what's philosophy in verb form? Like, is it philosophize? In verb form, philosophies.
To make it a verb would mean it's an action word.
In what sense? Yeah, I've always philosophized about the word. Philosophize. That's not a word. Philosophize, isn't it? Oh, so there's no verb form for.
There's no. Why do you just have the watermelon sitting back there? Nigga, this is a lot of watermelon.
Yeah. What about it?
This is my good watermelon.
Yeah, it wasn't that good. Do you want it?
Fuck no, not after it's been sitting here for 9 minutes. Probably longer. You irritate me. I've come to make this video about me.
No, hell no. Back your ass up. All right, so I've always... So there's no verb form for it? Damn. Okay, so I've always been the person to just kind of look at it from the outside in rather than being in it. And to be honest, I'm gonna be quite frank with you, that that worked for as long as it needed to before I realized, okay, hey, I'm lacking in money. I'm lacking in resources. I am extremely detached from the world that I chose to be involved in, that I chose to come to. Do something, Trey. Do something. Despite the fact that I have chosen to make those steps and insert myself more into the world, again, it's never been a social issue. I've always been like a social person, talking to people, meeting people. I always had community. It's more been like systemic, never wanting to be a part of that. That's created me not having my own system. You know, that's created me not having my own foundation in the midst of the world, because I chose to be so detached from it. Now, since I have been inserting myself more into the world, I understand that I still, at the end of the day, struggle with like seeing chemtrails in the sky, knowing that nations in Africa have been taken advantage of by European countries, child trafficking, human trafficking, these type of things. They still like, there's still a problem I have with the system in general. You know, that's not all aspects of the system, but that is very, very much ingrained within the system. And I still have a struggle with that. I still have a struggle with accepting those things. I mean, how could you accept it? You know, how could you accept something like that? Like, you want to change it. You want it to transform. You want there to be something to be done about it. As one person, it's almost outside of your control. I'm not the type to like get involved politically and shit like that, which shouts out to the people who are. We're all different, and we all, as different forms of consciousness, have our role that we're going to play to help transform the world and shape it into what we envision, which is hopefully a world of more unity and peace. That brings me to another topic, like a huge topic that has bothered me for sure, more than anything. Like, a lot of my shroom trips, what happens that leads me to cry in the midst of those shroom trips, like the thing that surfaces very often, is the infiltration of adolescent energy, like the raping pretty much of a child's consciousness, or like that being tainted, that energy being tainted. I said this in a song before. I was like, swear it's like more as you grow, the world that you know gonna rob you of innocence.
I made the movement the soul, to cool out my bros, they moving too militant. Swear it's like more as you grow, the world that you know gonna rob you of innocence.
It's like that bothers me so much, because there's nothing more pure in this world than just that energy of children, of babies. Like, they came straight from source. They just came straight from God into this world. Very pure energy, very pure souls. I mean, you could think about anything. It could be like a very small plant. It could be like a baby cub, you know. It could be a baby turtle. It could be a baby human. Like, these are very precious energies, and there's an energy on this planet that is striving off of that innocence, you know, literally in so many different forms, in so many different ways. And Drunvalo Melchizedek talked about this in The Flower of Life. Like, during the fall of Atlantis, there was a portal that opened pretty much on Earth, and there was an older race of beings who literally infiltrated human consciousness, which is still very much at a very smaller stage in the evolutionary process. And this older consciousness literally just raped our evolution and infiltrated it. And you can still see the effects of that today. That's why you look at all the politicians, a lot of them people are old as fuck, and they're making rules about women's bodies, and, you know, pretty much making laws about this world that we live in. And it's just weird as hell. It's like, why do all of these old people have so much power? These old white people at that. Why do they have this much power and this much say-so over what we do and how this planet is organized and structured? So, but you also see that in so many different ways. It shows up in so many different ways. Like, I don't want to get flagged on YouTube. I can go really deep into how it shows, how it shows up in different ways, and how, like, children are being taken advantage of. But It bothers me deeply. It's something I struggle with. Even as I've been creating my own foundation in this world, being more involved, being more in the role of the performer, while also still being in the role of the observer, and not being as detached, I struggle with those things. I still struggle with worldly things, systemic things, you know, there being homeless people in empty homes, and just the way everything, just the way it's designed. It's like, okay. And on top of that, something that really blows my mind very often, the thought of the fact that we live in an abundant universe. Like, bro, we live in an abundant universe. We live on an abundant plane of existence for everybody, all 9 billion human beings to not just survive, but thrive, strive, prosperously. Like, why is anyone experiencing scarcity? And then it goes down this rabbit hole where it's like, oh, well, we need to take accountability for us not being in alignment with money and not having a good relationship with wealth. And like, but it's like, bro, this shit is free. This shit is free. Every single human being can fit in the state of Texas. Every single human being that exists in the world right now. Everyone in Asia, everyone in Africa, everyone in South America, Europe, everywhere. If we all got together and went to Texas, we could all fit in that one state. You know how much land that is left? You know how much water and like, we live on an abundant plane of existence, an abundant planet, and people are experiencing poverty. These thoughts, they just haunt me. They just haunt me. They just live within me. I'm like, damn, something's gotta give. That's been an internal battle, and just the relationship with finances, like, that's just been a huge insecurity because I've never wanted to do much for money. Like, I didn't, you know, people ask you, what's your dream job? And you're like, I don't dream of having a job at all. But it's like, okay, I had to realize for myself, Trey, you're either going to create a whole new system or you're going to have to do the best in the one that you chose to exist in. I don't know if I had it in me to just start to design a whole new system. I can do it from the inside out, and I know there's people who are trying to do it, you know, people in off-grid communities and shit like that. Shouts out to them. They're trying to make it happen, but I know money is still involved in the process in some way, shape, or form. So it is what it is, you know. My detached Pisces ass had to like assess and come to terms and get more grounded and have less resistance to the reality of the situation, and do it in a way where my heart is still in alignment with the choices that I'm making, not feeling like I'm doing something disingenuous or just succumbing to the peer pressure of the world. So I feel that way. I do feel that I'm moving in that alignment right now, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have more of that balance. I feel optimistic about it. To go back to like what I was saying also just about child's innocence being tainted, I be thinking about my brother often, my little brother, when I'm on shrooms, and that shit makes me cry. That nigga makes me cry a lot, because it's like, I watched him be this very innocent kid with wide eyes to the world, and just this wonder to having to like grow up and harden himself and like create this shell around his childlike energy, because, you know, him having to protect himself in the streets, or, you know, maybe getting bullied at school, or just, you know, not having the right guidance in his life to show him like what's important, you know, what to value in the midst of all of this societal programming that just gets put on us in our upbringing. I had to watch him go through that. I had to watch him kind of lose that wonder and that, you know, that innocence that he had. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I call my brother now and he's still all jokes and shit like that with me, and, you know, nigga just, he's always laughing at some dumb shit. I love him to death, but you know, the world still created like, his response to this world created like this ego around him, and it happens to all of us to some degree. We all have to grow up and kind of like, we start to get a little detached at some point, and not detached, disconnected. We all get disconnected from at some point from that energy, that childlike energy. And that's why when we all kind of have this awakening at some point, we realize, oh damn, wait, I need to really tap back in to my childlike self, because I lost that connection, and they never got to be parented in the right way. So we kind of go through this reparenting process for ourselves, being the parent of our childlike self and also being the child to the parent as well. It's like, it's interesting how that shit plays out. I also saw this video one time my sister sent me of my nephew. He was like on the beach, and it was the most precious video. It was the most precious video. He was just on the beach running, and you know, just, he was having so much fun, and I just started crying. I literally just started crying. Like, I was so happy to see him happy, but then I instantly just started crying. And obviously it was because it's just like, I know that he's gonna have to go through that process as well to some degree, you know, just growing up. And yeah, you know, he's gonna have to, that ego is gonna form, and the innocence is gonna get tainted a little bit, just because this world doesn't hold enough space for that purity. It really doesn't. Like, we don't really get it in the school system. It's not really, depending on what household you're brought up in, especially like the household I know that I was like, the type of household I was brought up in, it's not the most nurturing space for that energy, because our parents are literally just doing the best that they can. I know my sister's doing the best that she can with him, the best that she knows how. And so I just know that he's gonna have to kind of grow up and go through that process as well. And I just wanna, you know, help him as much as possible. But I started crying when I saw that video, and I sent my sister a voice message about my thoughts on it, and just like, I was just like, I don't want the world to taint his innocence. Like, you know, me on some just sensitive Pisces shit. And I know she received that message and just I was really like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, she did not respond. Like, I know she just had no idea what the fuck I was actually crying about. She probably just did not get what the fuck I was saying, but, or where I was coming from. And that's cool. But it was just funny. It was just funny and sad at the same time. But I enjoyed crying about things that matter to me. So yeah.
What do you feel about people who talk shit about people who cry?
What do I feel about people who talk shit about people who cry? Well, I mean, they can still get their ass beat. Like, they can still get that ass whooped. Like, it don't matter. Don't take it as somebody who's soft. Like, you gotta be strong enough to cry, to be honest. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta be strong enough to cry. You cry all the time.
Yeah.
Trinity.
I also say, what about it?
Right.
Fuck. But there was a period where I couldn't cry. Like, fucking literally. I couldn't cry. It happened shortly after I really dove deep into my spiritual journey. And I only fairly recently actually gained the ability back. I can't believe you just wasted fucking money.
Bro, I'll get you another watermelon. I will.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
I did not know that. I didn't know you went through that stage in life.
I thought I told you about that.
No, I don't recall. I wonder, what did you, how did you work through that? Like, what was your process and being back in tune with your emotions?
A few shroom trips. Definitely had to embark on that.
Hell yeah.
And there were periods where I would feel like a lot of it was me just simply wanting to cry. And I felt like I couldn't. And so when I would get the feeling of being choked, I would like force it out. It was really like a practice. But it really did. And but the thing is, I think that I developed that because I used to try to force myself to not cry at many situations. Because my first initial, I used to cry so quickly that I wouldn't be able to communicate. It'd be difficult. So when I started to solely communicate and have tough conversations, a part of me had to learn how to choke it back so I can say what the fuck
You can
I
say
need
what
to
you say. Yeah, I get that. I do get that.
But then
I get that.
it started to be like, even when I was by myself, I couldn't.
You couldn't let it out.
Yeah, I couldn't let
Yeah,
it
that's
out.
when you know it's a real problem. Yeah, that's a real problem. Being able to cry shows strength. All right, so I'm going to do my best in the attempt of trying to maybe articulate the blueprint, the tools, the resources, the practices that help me not battle with like maybe anxiety and stress and being nervous and the fear perception of other people. I'm gonna start here with just a personal reason, which can't apply to everyone, but I have a lot of Pisces in my placement, in my chart. I have a lot of Pisces placements in my chart. And what you want? You want to sit down?
Sorry, yeah, I want to sit down in that chair.
I mean, you can take the chair, and I'll
okay.
just go sit right there.
No, continue.
You sure? Because it's kind of, I'm losing sunlight anyway, so I was about to move.
No,
Yeah, it's all yours. Yeah, I'm finna sit down. So yeah, like I was saying, I have a lot of Pisces placements in my chart. I'm a Pisces stellium. I just read a tweet on Twitter about how I just read a tweet about how like Pisces is the last zodiac placement before the transition into another world, pretty much. And that's why Pisces can be very detached and live in the realm of imagination. And it made so much sense to me because I was talking to Trinity about this, and it was just like, I just had the realization that I cannot give as much of a fuck as I don't give, because I really don't give a fuck at an unusual amount. And I realized like I wasn't not giving a fuck to be cool. It was just like, I just really didn't care about things that I did not feel were worth caring about. It's easy for me to discern where to place my fucks and where not to waste my fucks. It's very easy for me to do that. And it's due to the detachment that I have that's allowed me to just always exist knowing that I'm going to die someday. Like I'm very understanding of the transition that has to take place for all of us. And I'm kind of always sitting on the realm of that. Like I'm sitting at that cusp always, just watching life from the outside in, not taking things personally, not completely identifying with the character and the role I play in this realm, but still very much like showing up when necessary, and when I feel called to, trusting my guidance on when to be present and be fully here and be grounded in the world, and knowing when not to. It's been something I've had to like balance, and that's kind of what's helped me not like fear the perception of other people, or not like get too anxious to the point where I'm overwhelmed by my own emotion or stress about things, because I just know that I am going to die someday, and we're all going to die someday. And I can live in the embodiment of it, not just knowing it. It's one thing to conceive it conceptually or through the mind, but then it's another thing to like have that shit embodied. That so when you're tested and shit comes your way, it's like it's a resilience there. It doesn't like shit just kind of, you got the thick skin, that shit just kind of wear off. I think that void of neutrality is something maybe I would offer people who do struggle with it. It's like the practice of being just neutral, being in a space of like nothingness. It could be done, of course, with meditation. It could be done, of course, with just affirmations, reaffirming that you are in this world but not of it. Do you have any tools?
What was the question?
Practices that help with detachment or not being overwhelmed, or are you still just kind of trying to find that shit yourself?
I mean, I know some tactics, but it depends. Some things
Has
are
anything-
easier than others. but the things that are honestly easier for others could be difficult for other people. I think with me, like a lot of my knowledge and the way that my viewpoint around the world has shifted dramatically, that is where a lot of detachment comes from. That's why I don't fucking trip when it's tax season. That's why I kind of just don't give a fuck about any of the shit that people say is real, but it's really not.
Like student loans.
Yeah, like a certain amount of knowledge. And another aspect is like what I feel I am worthy and deserving of within myself. I'm not going to freak out about if somebody else doesn't see it that way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I will say also, like, I do talk to myself a lot. Maybe just try speaking to yourself. It's like, of course, in affirmations, but sometimes you're just having a conversation with yourself. You're just like, I believe in myself. I love myself. I love who I am more than anything. I love who I've created myself to be. I wouldn't want to be anyone else. And also understanding, really coming to terms with the fact that you've lived multiple lifetimes. I mean, I don't want to insert any beliefs, but at least this is my understanding that, like, I don't want to project any beliefs, but at least this is my understanding that we have all lived many different lifetimes. It's like, yeah, show up for this one, be present, be grounded in your mission, know what you have to do, but understand that this is a temporary experience and you cannot control everything. That's another thing. Like, I don't feel the need to control everything. I know when something is in my control and I know when it's not. And I'd rather choose my peace sometimes than trying to control a situation. Even if it can be controlled, if I exert enough energy, if my peace is just like right there and like me reserving my energy for like relaxation is an option and it's right there, and the controlling of the situation so that I don't feel bothered by whatever is happening is a more strenuous task, or strenuous, thank you, a more strenuous task, then I'm going to choose the option of letting that shit go. That's what the fuck I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose that every time, and I'm going to let it be what it is. That's a valuable lesson I've learned in this lifetime as well. And I want to touch more back on that topic of me like struggling with the system or whatever, because I know I live in a generation full of artists and content creators and just creatives and musicians and just all around people who do not want to follow the traditional route. And I know I'm not the only one who has like a battle with the way this world is designed because of those reasons. Like, it's a common trope. So I just want to say, like, you're not alone. There's this documentary by my friend called Free People. Her name is Nameless. She made it, and it was pretty dope. Jam was in there. My friend Jada was in there. It was dope. And it was pretty much just about like artists like having to live through this world and like trying to survive off of their creativity and shit like that. I would say that like this world we live in is very much a world where sometimes we do have to like make logical decisions, I guess, because behind these industries of creative expression, like the music industry, for example, is a lot of logical choices being made so that this can be set up and this could be done, and then we just enjoy the music, we just enjoy the concerts. But there's a lot of logical choices being made that artists have to make in order to, you know, be successful in the industry. And I just want to say, like, look, have that balance that you need in this world of like logic and creativity. And I mean, even like the things I see Trinity do, she might not look at it that way, but I know she's living off of being a content creator, but she has to make specific choices and discuss money and discuss like very, very detailed things in order for shit to manifest in the way that it does. And then everybody else just sees the end result. So it's like, have that balance you need to have in your life in order to feel balanced in this world, because we are living in a time where we are balancing like the artificial world and the spiritual world, or nature, if you will. And the most complete human being is one who can balance both, because you can't negate the other. Obviously, you can't just negate the spiritual realm, because there are people who do it. They just work on Wall Street, they make their money, they live in the material society, and they have no depth to their being. They have neglected their soul and neglected their purpose. And then there's people who are just like completely detached from the material world. Like I've seen some people in California, like on the beach, for example, like they might be homeless and they might not have no money, but like they're deeply in tune spiritually. They can give you some words of wisdom, and there's nothing wrong with being that if you want to be that. I don't want to be it personally. I want to have that balance of both. I don't want to just be spiritual and broke, nor do I want to be materialistic and impoverished spiritually. Like I don't want to be either of those. I want to have that divine balance, and where I'm able to balance both worlds. Shouts out to Seven Bomar. He has this YouTube channel called Understanding. This man is like he's like a living example of both of them. He lives in Costa Rica, and he is creating this type of artificial and technology that is mind-blowing, that can be in assistance, that's very much in assistance of our evolution. It's not something to just kind of like, what he's creating isn't something to just get lost in and be overly consumed by. Like, that's not what I'm speaking of. Nothing that is just pretty much consuming us or like getting us disconnected from the natural and the spiritual world. Again, balance. And that's why I'm just pretty much like expressing, and I want everyone to like keep in mind that we have to find the balance between both worlds. That's where I'm at in my life right now. And of course I'll continue to update where I stand just as life goes on. I learn more things and I grow more aware of this time period we're in and my purpose in this time period. And thank y'all for being along the journey. Trini, you want to add anything?
No, I don't know what it.
Yeah. I love you guys. Thanks for watching.